Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Dad Bod Pod, a place for men to learn, grow, and live the healthiest life possible. We are your hosts, Jason Priest, Anthony Hudson, and Zach Smith. There is no more solo shows coming for you guys. We are past those now, so I'm excited for today's episode. If you're a first-time listener, I highly encourage you to go back and check out some of our prior episodes. There's a ton of valuable content to help inspire, motivate, and educate you on what's working right now to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. If you're a longtime listener, thank you so much for your continued support. We greatly appreciate you over here at the Dad Bod Pod Nation. And if you get value out of today's episode, all that we ask is you to take 10 seconds out of your day, drop us a quick review. That's what helps grow the show and gets the show into the ears of more men who could potentially change their lives and become the healthiest version of themselves. We don't run ads on this show. We will never run ads. We respect your time greatly. So that's the only request we have is if you get value, please help us spread the news on this show and get the word out to more guys. So with all of that being said, I am excited for today's episode. We are excited for today's episode because we're going to help you cut through the bullshit and help you be able to continue to stay focused on your most important asset, which obviously is your health in a world full of distractions. So Anthony, Zach, what's going on, my man, or my guys? We're recording here on a Sunday, so this is a fireside chat episode for you guys. So what's going on, guys? How's your weekend so far?
Hey, man, so far so good,
Excellent.
man. Just looking forward to this conversation, man. What are we talking about today, guys?
Love it, man. So I thought what we would do today, man, is really talk about everything that's going around. We don't have to get too political or anything like that, but I will tell you, obviously, you guys know that one of the things that we teach inside of our private community is really being intentional about the start of your day. And so I wanted to give some strategies for our audience today on how to eliminate some of those distractions and really be able to continue to maintain focus on the most important asset. You know, pre-pandemic, the biggest topic or the biggest issue in our country is obesity. The reality is that's an epidemic that's not going away. And we are in a really, obviously, as you guys know, in a really tough spot in terms of our country and trying to get healthier, quickly working toward a 50% obesity rate in this country, which is obviously sad. So I wanted to break through some of what we do over there in our private community and give some strategies today, and really talk about what's going on around us, because a lot of people are struggling, going through tough times. And I hear a lot about, look, I lack the motivation. I'm lonely. I'm at home. My state's still locked down. So that's really what I wanted to cover today, man. So what are your takes on that, man? And either one of you guys throw out some thoughts and we'll get this thing cranking.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So, Jason, this is Anthony. We hear we get distractions all the time. Every single day they're coming at us. So for those of you listening, I want you to think about, like, okay, we've got distractions at work. Like, you've got a deadline to hit, right? Or things pop up. Maybe an employee doesn't show up to work, or the negativity in the media these days, or family drama, right? Whether that's immediate family or brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, grandpas, grandmas, moms and dads, like all this other stuff, kid drama at school, like all these things are coming at us as dads, right? And that takes away from us. As dads, we're providers. We want to focus on our family and do what's best for them, but we always forget, right? In order to better do that, we got to take care of ourselves first. So controlling your day, I think, is huge, and we'll dive into it more, but I just want to get people's thought process rolling on all these different distractions we're getting. Hey, an email comes in the middle of the night, and a thing that we really want to focus on is being proactive with your day instead of reactive, and playing offense instead of defense, right? So we'll dive into that, but I guess I just wanted to start off by, throwing out some examples of distractions that I know I get all the time, and maybe you guys have some better examples than that, but I think that kind of gets the thought process rolling first, and then we'll teach you guys how to combat them and how we've been able to establish those routines and habits to do that, I think.
No, I love it, man. And I think you kicked it off in a great way. And so, Zach, go ahead and throw out some examples of what you're dealing with, because at the end of the day, man, we're all three different dudes. We're all dads, and we have a lot of similarities, but we're all in different states. and we all have different circumstances that we deal with on a daily basis. So I love it, Anthony. And so Zach, give us your take, man, because I'd love to hear what your distractions are, because I'm sure mine are quite different as well.
Well, I mean, we're all three of us are fathers, right? I have a 20-month-old right now who's currently teething. He just popped out his first molar, right? So imagine the great sleep I'm getting right now as he wakes up every morning at 4:30 like crazy Anthony down there.
Hey, before you go any further, you say 20-month-old. So I'm just curious, and I'm not trying to be a jackass, but at what point do we stop with the counting of the months? Like past 24 months, like, are you still going to be saying 26 and 28 and 30 months? I'm just
no, dude,
asking.
not at all, dude. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, dude, my child just turned 84 months. I'm literally only saying 20 because I was literally just thinking a few days back, I was like, how old is this little dude anyway? So I'm only saying 20 months because I actually literally know. Usually I say 1.5-year-old, but
I think the 2 years is the cutoff.
After 2, dude, that's a hard cutoff, dude. You're not going to hear me say, hey, the kid's, he's like 32 months now. No, that's when it gets kind of weird, I think. So,
no, I agree.
But yeah, man, in terms of distractions for me, so, I mean, as coaches, we're constantly helping our people, right? So it goes back to what Anthony was talking about. We need to be proactive versus reactive. And sometimes we want to get to these people and help them sooner than later, but that is us being reactive. So man, with the kid running around all the time, my wife has her clients, we have our clients, right? And they have different needs at different times of the day. Like it could be random, dude. It's not, when it comes to coaching, it's something that they need at any given moment versus like, oh, I'm going to need help at 10 a.m. I'm going to need help at 12 p.m. It's not like that. So what we deal with, at least as coaches, is people's needs at different times of the days for different scenarios. So that's something that I know all three of us as coaches have to deal with. On top of our children who are already a distraction in itself, because we want to make sure we're spending quality time with them and not just kind of like, hey, watch TV while I send some messages, right? That's not the kind of father figures we want to be.
No doubt.
So, I mean, it's just, I think we all deal with the same kinds of things, just in their own way, you know?
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you went there because I want to talk about some of the things that I don't deal with, and you guys can probably resonate with this because some of the things that I don't deal with now are some of the things that I used to deal with when I was in my worst shape. I'm not dealing with rushing around, running late all the time because I hit snooze 10 times. I'm not dealing with low energy and low back pain when I get out of bed every day. And so I think that, going back to, the focal point of this episode and really making your health a priority, I think because I did that, it eliminated some of the challenges that I used to deal with. But obviously challenges come in all shapes and sizes. And so for me, myself, we've got a baby, right? And like, I've got an almost 6-month-old. I'll stop at the 24 months with you, but I've got an almost 6-month-old and this guy's not sleeping, man. Like it's to the point now where like we had a couple weeks stretch where we were almost going to move him upstairs, and now we're back to him not sleeping. As soon as you put him down, it's cry. I'm like, dude, he is literally, we call him the high maintenance baby. We don't remember this with my first son, and my first son was not like this, and so he is a little bit more high maintenance. And so I get it. The lack of sleep is an issue. But I love that you touched on the point in terms of coaching, man, because our needs don't really our clients' needs don't follow a schedule, right? Like not everybody needs something at 8, 10, 12, 2, this is not something you can plug into your calendar. So with us working the back end of our business and really trying to help get the word out to more people because of what we do is such a valuable asset and can change lives. I feel like, I feel like the point that you brought up about that is huge because it's so many things can be calculated in life, but there's also some things that can't be calculated. And I'm a little bit obsessive compulsive about trying to get all my ducks in a row. And at the end of the day, man, it just doesn't happen like that all the time. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, I mean, all right, now that we're on the topic, here's a question for you guys. What do you guys do to stay proactive versus reactive that could help ourselves as well as our listeners?
Good. And Anthony, if you want to chime in, go ahead. And because I've got a little story that I want to tell about a prior podcast episode. So go ahead and.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. So it's planning your week out ahead of time for me. I don't just plan out the night before. I plan out an entire week. So Sundays for me are huge. And it starts with my family, right? So family is your most important thing. It starts with myself and my family, but I'm planning business, clients, meetings, travel time, meals, all that kind of stuff around my family. So the family calendar goes in first, and we've got a shared calendar so my wife's got her stuff. I see it when she plugs it in the calendar. I've got my stuff. Our kids' stuff, my daughter goes to swim lessons. My oldest daughter, she's 10. She's got swim practice 3 days a week. So that gets plugged in. Their appointments, who picks them up from school, because we do carpool, all these other crazy things, right? So it builds over time, but every single week I'm looking at it again, revamping it, scheduling it. Hey, I've got calls from this time to this time, right? So on and so forth. So you got to plan it out, right? You can't, you're going to pull your hair out. You're going to forget stuff. You're going to, God forbid, leave your kid at school or something crazy like that and feel like the worst dad ever if you don't, right? So planning it, I think, all starts at the beginning of the week, and then continuing to look at that plan and adjusting it as is, because, life comes at us. And even though we're proactive, in some cases, there's going to be instances where we're going to have to be reactive too, which is fine. But if we're proactive for most of it, that makes those extra decisions and that reactive decision that much easier, right? So for me, that's huge. I plan out every single week, all 7 days of the week, and then make adjustments accordingly.
I love it. No, and the reality is we all live by this too, right? Like, you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, and everybody's heard that. And it's become quite cliche, but the reality is it's so true. But I like that you brought up the fact that life is going to happen, right? And we talk about this in our communities too, right? The reality of this being a long-term journey in terms of health. And so I think what you have to do is just accept the fact that life is going to happen, man, and become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And when you can embrace that there are going to be challenges in the day, no matter what, you just got to be ready for them, because we can't control external circumstances, but we can control our reactions to them. As a dad and as someone who tends to, at times, like, I'll just own it. I have a little bit of a short fuse sometimes, right? And I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better, because I don't want to be an asshole dad. But when you got a 5-year-old and a 5-month-old, and you're hearing chirp, chirp, whine, whine, man, it gets, it can get really old really quick. And so I'm trying to channel some of that, the short fuseness, and realizing that, like, I'm just glad that they can both talk and can both whine, like, it could be a lot worse. Right. And so, but I love that you brought up the life happens part, because life is going to kick you in the balls, and you got to get up and move forward. So the story that I wanted to reference, and this really has to do with any area of life you're going to be successful with. But I interviewed this guy not long on the podcast, and he mentioned that being successful, or going down the path of success, is like going through fog, right? Like, you never know. There's always uncertainty with what exactly you need to be doing to be successful. And it is a very foggy path. And I really resonated with that analogy, because with business success, it was so crystal clear to me. But then I thought back to my own health, and I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of guys out there who, they always wait for that, and we talked about this last episode too, I believe, but they always wait for the perfect plan. And, I say it all the time that the imperfect plan, followed consistently, will destroy the perfect plan followed inconsistently every single day of the week. And I think that's a little bit of that fog. It's like, okay, because I saw a couple guys post recently about, like, in the group, you guys might have seen this, about like the Mediterranean diet, and like getting some clarity on that, and really trying to figure out what's the best approach. But the best approach is always going to be waiting for you if you're not constantly taking action. And so I think it's about massive imperfect action. So that's a little bit of my take on that. So Zach, what do you have? Like, what you go ahead and finish it out, and then we'll move on.
Well, in regards to what I do to stay proactive versus reactive, man, it's something that we actually talk to the guys about a lot in the coaching program that we have. And it's making sure that we end our day, like, off the screen, off social media, not on news, because it really, like, a great day starts with having a great night. If you really think about it, it doesn't start with when we wake up. It starts before we close our eyes. If we set our day or our night up in a way where we're just in a state of positivity, of gratuity. We write every thought that's in our head that might be troubling us that we need to get accomplished the next day. If we write that down as something that needs to get done the next day, we won't go to sleep with that anxiety. We won't go to sleep with that stress. We won't go to sleep with that negativity. And we're just set, like we just set ourselves up for a great night's sleep. And when we have a great night's sleep, when we wake up, we're not waking up startled, like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, I forgot to set my alarm clock. Oh, I need to make sure. Oh, I'm late. We don't have those thoughts because we wrote them all down. We wake up kind of at peace, I guess we can say. So a great day starts with a great night. I think that's one thing that a lot of people overlook. They think that they have to do all these morning rituals and affirmations, which is great, but
they can serve you, right? But they're not the whole picture, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And they don't hold as they're not as strong if we don't set our day up so it's more forced versus natural if we don't have a great night to come into the day positively, you know? So for me personally, I like to make sure I have a great night so that I can hit the floor running versus at a dead stop and then trying to force the positivity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And I can't agree with you more. I think that, well, the reality is this, like we list sleep as the number one pillar for a reason, right? I mean, it's kind of an important thing, especially when you accept the fact that 1/3 of our life is supposed to be spent sleeping. When you look at it like that, like I'm only awake for 2/3 of my life and 1/3 is supposed to be spent sleeping. That carries a lot of value. And if you don't realize that, it's gut check time, right? And so I think that not enough people prioritize sleep. And I can't agree with you more. I think that is the foundation of a good day, right? And some of the things that you talked about, like what we do is practicing gratitude and really documenting your wins, right? Like those wins are huge, man. Got to take credit for your small victories. So let's transition a little bit here into strategy because we've touched on it a little bit. One of the biggest things that I can't express enough is, and you guys have both mentioned it, is really blocking out some time away from social media. It's it's so tempting, man. And like, I struggle with myself. I'm not going to lie. Like, I would be lying to you if I told you that, like, I don't have this weird connection to my phone, right? Like, I know a lot of very successful people that will admit that I'm addicted to my phone and I don't want that. And Zach, you mentioned earlier about quality time with your kids, man. Like the reality is I don't want my kid to be an iPad kid. We really are trying to limit his time on that because I'll tell you, we notice a huge difference between his behavior and his personality. It's night and day difference if it's a weekend and he spends, 4 hours on the iPad and then during the week, he doesn't get it at all. Like it's night and day difference. And I know that can't be good, long term. And so one thing that I've been doing on a higher level as an adult is really starting to try to step away from going down the rabbit holes of the negative media stuff, man. It's like, it's not going to serve you. And we've talked about this a little bit too, is like in the community, I'll bring up an example. I had a guy reach out to me. One of our newer clients reached out to me the other day, man. And he was like, hey, I just want you to know I'm really having a rough time today, man. He goes, I've started the day off bad. He said he either had cereal or a donut. I can't remember which one, and a soda. And that was his normal start to the day. This is a brand new guy trying to break that soda. You probably saw the soda post. Yeah. And so he reaches out and I was like, look, man, it's not even 11 o'clock right now. This was in the middle of the week. I was like, it's not even 11 a.m. yet. You can't label this a bad day. So let's flip the script. Right. You've got the rest of the day to make this day a winning day. And that's all you needed to hear. It literally changed his whole mindset. He's like, you know what? He goes, I did start off in a shitty way, but I can make the most of this day. He made a healthy choice for lunch, had a healthy snack mid-afternoon, got all of his water in and crushed the gym that night and posted about it later on. And I'm like, that lit me up. I'm like, dude, that guy, that's all he needed to hear. His whole perspective has changed. And now he's building momentum as we speak. And so I think that kind of stuff can go a long way, and just realizing that it's not always going to be perfect. We all preach it, progress over perfection. And it's so true.
Dude.
Yeah, I think, go ahead. Go ahead, Zach.
No, dude, I love that you brought that up, man, because there's so many people, so many people fall victim to the, oops, I ate one thing and the rest of my day is over. Dude, no, it isn't, man. We got 24 hours in a day. If you lose 2 minutes of it, it doesn't mean the day is lost. It's all a matter of what you focus on, what you choose to focus on. And if you decide to let that just spiral out of control, because I mean, I did coaching before we teamed up, and it's something I hear like commonly all the damn time. And I'm like, dude, you need to not focus on the one time you slipped up. You just need to get back on the horse and keep on riding.
We're harder on ourselves than we are on our worst enemies. And the reality is, like, you can think of people out there that you have a really rocky relationship. And I hate to use the word hate, but there's some people in your life. We all have people in our lives that we feel a strong dislike towards, right? We are harder on ourselves than we would ever be on those kind of people. And that's just it. And so sometimes it's just like, you need to chill the fuck out a little bit and realize that it's okay, 100%. Right? Like, don't beat yourself up. Don't use it as a built-in excuse to let the problem compound, right? Yes. But that situational awareness, man, is so huge in realizing that, okay, you know what? I screwed up, but let's not keep it going. Let's get back on the wagon and keep the momentum going that I had before with the positive decisions that I was making prior to this.
Yep. If anything, I think you don't look at it as a loss, but you look at it as a lesson. So, okay, what got me here? Maybe analyze it a little bit. Don't spend all day on it, but maybe take a couple minutes and like, okay, so why did I feel like I needed that soda and donut today? Or what happened? Did something change? Mm-hmm. Oh, I know what it was. Boom. That was it. Now I'm good. I won't let that happen again. Moving on. It goes back to the identity thing we've also talked about in the past, right? Know who you are. Hey, maybe the wife brought home donuts or whatever, right? The kids wanted donuts, so I got a donut for myself too, right? Yeah. That happened to us yesterday. Yep. That happened at my house yesterday, right? So didn't have the donut, but I wanted one. So that's huge. I don't want to shift gears, but something else, Jason, when you were first talking about it, that I want to touch on for everybody is, we've got these things, right? These
$1,000 computers in our hands
that are this big, right? So huge distraction. Worst distraction because everything's on it, right? Entertainment, polarizing media crap, whatever it is, you can get at the tip of your fingers.
Amazon, Uber Eats, you can buy some shit, whatever you want.
Everything, bad decisions everywhere on that thing. But it can also help you excel in business, excel in whatever you want to do as well. So there's a give and take there. Point being, something I want to talk to you guys about a little bit is I see all the time these things as distractions in the gym, right? When I go to the gym, people are, I don't know what they're doing, selfieing or podcasting or just checking emails, doing work, all this kind of stuff, right? And they spend more time looking at that screen than they did ever. Maybe they get in 2 or 3 good lifts, but the intensity level is minimal at best. And it just drives me insane to see somebody sit on a machine or on a bench and, focus on their phone instead of what they're absolutely supposed to be doing. So that's a big one for me in terms of distractions is know what you're going to do that day in the gym, right? So you're not messing around with it. And even if it is in your phone, which for a lot of our clients, we have an app for the workouts, that's okay. But that's all you're pulling up, right? Have your playlist set, be ready to go. Like, you can't mess with anything else. I think if people would just do that more often and quit messing around on their phone and scrolling in between sets or whatever, like, you're there to do a job, get in, get out, right?
The excuse, I don't have time for the gym. Dude, you'd have time for the gym if you weren't there for 2.5 hours, and an hour and 45 minutes of that was texting and making posts on Instagram and TikTok videos. Yeah. Dude.
Right.
Yeah. I call BS too.
Yeah, dude. Look, the reality is this, and I'll just, I know you guys are spending more time in the gym than I am right now maybe not in terms of days, but in terms of time. Lately, I've not been getting to the gym until 12:30 or 12:25, and my gym closes at 1 to clean for 2 hours before they open up again at 3. Well, 3 is too late for me because I got to go get my kids and all that shit. So sometimes if I don't get there till 12:30, I know that my ass has got to get in there. I got a superset to get my workouts in, but I still make the shit happen. And so, Zach, to your point, when people are using, I don't have enough time. That is and you guys when I did my personal training certification way back when, like, part of the test, like one of the questions on the test is, what's the biggest reason why people don't work out? And it is the perceived lack of time. It's just, I just don't have time. Sure. I can't find the time. Well, you're never going to find the time, man. The reality is you got to make the time.
Gotta make the time.
And if you make a commitment to yourself to become the healthiest version of you, you have a big enough why. You have a big enough driving motivator to take you to that place. Well, then you're going to make shit happen. You're going to either going to make it happen or you're going to make excuses. That's it. The guy that I referenced about the fog story, he says, anybody out there listening right now, it's your choice where you're at. He goes, I believe where you're at is all your choices. He goes, if you're 50 pounds overweight, you're choosing to be 50 pounds overweight. And I thought about it and I'm like, man, that sounds pretty harsh on the surface, but in reality, like it's gut check time, because you can either be proactive and start taking steps to get away from that lifestyle that you're not liking right now, that sucks, being sick and tired of being sick and tired, or you can start making changes, eliminating distractions, which is the point of this episode, tuning out all the moving parts and focusing on the best version of you.
Yeah, man, I completely agree, dude. And I like that you brought that up, because, dude, anybody who is anywhere in life that they don't want to be, guess what? It's your own damn fault. Mm-hmm. If you're fat, it's your own damn fault. Okay. The only people that get away with, oh, I'm fat and I don't know what to do, is if you're freaking 6 years old. But guess what? We're damn grown-ups now. So grow the hell up, take responsibility, and just accept that you're not where you want to be. So what the hell do I have to do to change it? Right?
Right.
You know what I used to do, dude? When people tell me they don't have time, I call bullshit every single time, dude. I've worked 3 jobs before, right? At one time. And one of them was 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Okay. And then the other half of the week was a day job. So think about how do you think my circadian rhythm was, huh? I don't think it was rhythm. It was more like a disaster. Okay. So I was doing
was that like, when you got fat?
No, this was actually before. this was
because I would have gotten fat.
You bastard. So look, so I tell them, I go, there's no way in hell you don't have time, because I work 12-hour shifts overnight for half the week, and then I have 2 other jobs during the day for the second half of my week. My sleep is terrible. My time, dude, everything was just a disaster. Okay. I don't even need to get into that. But you know what I did? I figured a way out. I worked 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I drove my ass straight to the gym. The gym, because I know if I went home, I would not go to the gym.
Negotiating immediately happens.
No way.
With that schedule.
So you have to have self-awareness. You have to know what the hell your tendencies are, and you have to find a way to avoid them, dude. Sometimes I might almost fall asleep on the bench press. So what? I was there. You got
this guy's dropping 325 on his neck.
It out. Yes, dude. Yeah. So it's an excuse, man. Unless you literally work 24 hours a day for 7 days a week, which obviously nobody does, you have time.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to priorities and how bad you want it.
It's priorities, dude.
Yeah,
you got to take responsibility.
It's how bad you want it. So many people.
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think I love what we do too, because we help kind of people audit their time, right? And I used to do this with my personal clients before we all teamed up, right? So, okay, you say you don't have time, but let's look at your schedule a little bit. Let's see where we can break some of this down, because I bet you got a lot more time than you think. I bet I can find a good 45 minutes to an hour where you could really be knocking out a workout. And then the same thing, when people want to invest in their health, right? Same thing with budgeting their investment, right? So they look at it as price versus an investment, for one. And then for two, they're realizing if they cut out some of the fast food meals or plan their days a little bit better.
Frappuccino.
Starbucks, lots of stuff. Maybe you don't need 4 different TV subscriptions, or maybe just Netflix. You don't need YouTube TV and HBO and Apple TV and all these other things, right? So that's what I love about what we do too, is we help people budget with their time and their finances so that they can invest in themselves, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, right? Investing in you and your body. It's the only one you've got.
Yeah,
right?
man.
The only one you've got.
It's literally our most precious and most important asset. And it pains me to see people who can't look deeper than a price tag, right? For me, I used this story not long ago. When we were getting our bathroom update, or our bathroom redone, our downstairs master bathroom. And I'm the guy that goes out and gets like 8 quotes, right? I went overkill with the quotes. And so we spent damn near a month getting quotes before we ever started the work. But I will never forget this, and I will never make this mistake again. We had a guy who quoted us, I think it was 11.5 for what we wanted. And the work looked fantastic. This guy was like, he was very, very sharp, and like his whole process just was on point. And I'm like, man, like that's my guy. And so we had, I literally got 7 or 8 quotes, and we ended up going with the cheapest guy just to give it a shot. That quote came in at, I think, $5,500, a $6,000 difference between the 2 quotes. Okay. Our bathroom turned out really nice, but it wasn't without many, many hiccups along the way. And it wasn't without significantly more than what we were quoted. And we ended up spending over $11,500. We spent like $12,500 when the job was finally done. And so I look back on that and I'm like, look, man, like when I talk about that and on a client level, when you're talking about making an investment in your health, it's like, what's it costing you to stay stuck right now? Right? Like, have you looked up the cost of a heart attack? Have you looked up the cost of a stroke or the burden that that's going to put on your family? And the reality is if when you start talking about that, you start going and seeking out someone who could potentially help you, even personal trainer, like if that's where you want to start, there's a lot of options out there. But I'm glad you went there, because that bathroom story still haunts us to this day. And I'll just tell you, one of the things that one of the flaws that happen, which I'm still frustrated about, but I can't do anything, is the granite countertop. We had the granite countertop put on the sinks, and they go to cut the hole for the sink, and he looks under and he goes, oh, I don't think we're going to be able to center this because the pipes, like they're too close. So we have an offset sink. Well, it doesn't look bad, but it would have looked a lot better if he would have centered it. And I go under there and look, and like they had plenty of clearance. They had like 4 or 5 inches of clearance where it would have never made a difference, but they just went in and like eyed it. And he's like, we're going to have to center it offset. And like, those are the kind of things that happen when you take the cheap route out. And so, good help is not always cheap help, and cheap help is not always good help. They don't usually align.
Get what you pay for. Yeah,
for sure, man. I used to, you guys don't know this, but I used to, when I was younger, I used to help my, my friend's dad do a lot of handyman work, building fences, indoor reconstruction, just all kind of stuff. Right. And you wouldn't believe how many jobs, like a third to half of the jobs we did was fixing up other people's messes, dude. It really was. It really was. Funny. You don't know how many poles I had to dig out of the floor that were cemented wrong. They were spaced wrong. Just everything was wrong, man. I was like an 18-year-old kid, and I'm like, dude, is this how the work? I almost like just never trusted any construction workers after that, because I was just like, whoa, dude, I'm a kid and I'm seeing all this. I'm like, I'll never trust a contractor again. That's how I felt. But it goes to your point that, dude, you kind of get what you pay for, dude, because anybody's going to quote you well lower than, or way lower than what it should take. They're obviously going to take shortcuts, man. And that's something that I've learned. So it's just crazy when it's crazy to me, like, to think about how people perceive the cost versus value and it's not just from coaching for your fitness standpoint, just literally for everything. Yeah. But since obviously we're in the health and fitness space, of course. So it's just like you said, dude, it just it baffles me, dude. It baffles me. Like, it's not about what is this going to cost me. It's what is this going to save me? What is this going to do for my life? Like, it's not just about monetary values, dude. It's about your energy levels. You wouldn't believe how many people I talk to, and they're on an average of 3 medications, man. So what is 5 hours of sleep costing you, right? And guess what, dude? Like, oh, I'm single and I want to lose weight and I want a girlfriend, but it's not sexy being on a CPAP machine, dude. What is that? What does it cost you? Yes.
And I think this goes to the kind of like the fixed versus the growth mindset. The guys that come in that we talk very much about, hey, embracing this as a journey. It's not what can I accomplish in 6 months? We love that, right? We want to help you get to that. But like embracing this as a journey and realizing, okay, like this is a long-term solution for me. And so I love that we went here on the cost versus price, even though it didn't specifically have to do with our the focal point of the episode, but I think it's a great conversation to have. I think we could go deep on a full episode and cover it all, man, because we could talk about this all day, man, because I'll tell you, coming from a guy that used to see bills in the ICU, dude, like those things, 3 days in the ICU after open heart surgery, that's going to cost you a little bit more than your weekly grocery shopping trip. So
Next episode title: Invest in your health now instead of paying for your sickness later. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's really about. I mean, why wait? Right? We've talked about it.
So. Invest now or pay later. Boom.
Cool. Exactly. I love it. No, this was great. So let's to close shop today. What is one piece of advice for you guys out there? We gave a lot of advice today, but like, what's one thing that you think somebody out there struggling right now can do to start eliminating distractions and make their health a bigger priority without having to go through a whole drastic overhaul, if you will?
Writing it down, man. Definitely writing it down. If you write down your goals versus just saying it or sharing it, research has shown actually that when you write your goal down, you have over 70% chance of actually making it happen. So when you write it down, for some reason, when it's there in front of you,
subconscious mind, dude, it's powerful.
Yeah, it just like anybody could talk BS in their head and say all kinds of stuff and imagine them being a famous this or that or whatever. But when you write it down, dude, like I don't know what it is. I don't know the psychology behind it, but I know it's statistically proven that when you do write it down, your odds of actually succeeding is like 72 or 74%. I forgot exactly what it was.
It's a drastic difference. Yeah.
It's a drastic difference, man. So for anybody out there who's trying to make some changes, who want to do better, write your goals down, man. And then take it one step further and just break it down into my starting point, my end point, and what baby steps do I need to take throughout the way in order for me to go from point A to point Z. So you're not going to just completely change your identity overnight just like that. But if you have an actionable plan with baby steps, bite-sized pieces that will get you to the person that you are now to the person you want to become, you're well on your way.
No, love it. Anthony, what you got, my man?
Boom. Yeah, I'll piggyback a little bit on Zach, and then I got one more thing. So absolutely love writing it down, and even taking it one step further, because I'm writing those down at the beginning of the day, of course, but then again, the distractions come in sometimes in the middle of the day. So even putting it on your screensaver in your phone, or having it on the mirror in the bathroom, or at work on your screensaver, somewhere else, that goal. So it's kind of still top of mind, a vision board, whatever you want to call it. I think that keeps it consistently in your mind. So when that distraction comes in, you're like, okay, I'm going to tackle this real quick, but then I'm back to my goals, right? So I think that's huge. So love that, Zach. The other thing is schedule time with yourself. Like in terms of fitness, put my calendar's basically my boss, right? So what's in my phone, Gmail calendar, that's king, right? So you would never cancel an appointment with a client or a prospect or things like that, or a call. Why would you ever do it for yourself? So if you put it in the phone, so I'm hitting cardio in the morning. This is how I do it right away, first thing when I wake up. And then my gym session is usually around lunchtime, usually about the same time every day. Some days adjust, but around noon, right? So that is in my calendar every single day.
I love it.
An appointment that I do not break, and there's no distractions during that appointment. So those, calendar or write down your time. Put it in your calendar. Keep your appointments with yourself. Make an appointment with yourself every single day for fitness.
For sure.
No, I love it, and I think that just comes down to some of the concepts we talked about before about keeping the micro commitments and the promises that you make to yourself, man. You schedule that out. You're the one that went in there and put that on your calendar. So I love that you bring, like you say, you won't cancel an appointment with a client or a business partner or whatever it would be. So why would you do it to yourself, man? Like, you are your most important asset.
100%.
No, love it. Love it. Well, this is a great episode, man. If you guys would like to hear more content like this on a weekly basis, more than just our podcast episode, come join us over in our free group. That is join.discussionswithdadsgroup.com. We'll put that link in the show notes as well. We do ask for your email and your phone number because we are going to send you alerts on our live streams every week, and also other valuable content that we feel like you will love. You can opt out anytime, so don't feel like we're trying to spam you. But these we really use the text messaging to give you the alert to say, hey, we're going live. Jump on, come get your weekly dose of health, inspiration, motivation, and strategies to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. So we will see you guys in the next episode. This wraps it up for another episode of the Dad Bod Pod. You guys crush it this week, and we'll see you next time.